Right guys, I gotta show you some tone-deaf stupidity in its purest form here, coming from Sir Patrick Vallance nonetheless. You know, the absolute genius, chief science officer who at this point I don't think has got a single thing right. Not only that, but him and Whitty actually got caught out last November using dodgy data to initiate the second lockdown if I remember right. Their predictions literally got called out as pure fantasy within an hour of them making them public, yet the lockdown went ahead anyway. You know, following the science, as they say. That simple fact there would make today's report laughable if it wasn't for the dangerous nature of what this tosspot is actually calling for. It seems after being raked over the coals for their response in the last year, even if it's not the reasons I would give, these idiots actually think science should be mixed in with politics, a bit like it has been since March of 2020. Or should we say at this point the pseudoscience that has been there since last year. I say this because last I checked, science involved freedom to test and criticise the mainstream consensus on whatever it is. That is not something we have now, is it? Let's be honest. Instead, we've got social media companies, you know, the real world ministry of truth, deciding what is science and what is not. But like I was saying, this idiot wants more of the clusterfucks that we have lived through this past year by putting a powerful science minister in government. I would have to say it's completely batshit crazy, but really that's par for the course these days. I mean, you only need to look at the last 12 months, you don't even need to go all the way back to March of last year. You can just look at the last 6 months, 12 months or something like that and see the lunacy that we've been living through. The Telegraph though have covered this, but before you get your hopes up, they actually seem to support the bullshit that he's coming out with. They don't once call out the dangers of mixing politics with science and actually completely brush over the fact that these idiot scientists at Sage have been wrong throughout. Well, most of them have. The psychologists have obviously been spot on. Their relentless psychological warfare campaigns have worked a treat on the unsuspecting British public, as most of you know. I'm sure their masters are proud of the work that they have done.
But the end result, the true genius of the plan, was the fear. Fear became the ultimate tool of this government.
I mean, let's be honest, we're still seeing face nappy wearing sheeple walking around outside now, so that literally proves how well they did. The modelers and others in Sage, especially like Whitty and Vallance, have clearly not done so well, so maybe they're being made to be look like a bit of a tit. In fact, I'm still sitting here wondering if anyone can point out something they've predicted that's actually come to pass, because I've been trying to think for the entire time I've been recording this video. I'm actually reaching the point where I think I could probably sit here for about 36 hours and still not come up with anything that they've actually got right. Have they ever said that the sky is blue or grass is green? Maybe then they might have got something right, but let's be honest, if they said that at this point, I'd probably still have to question them. Now though, let's check out what Vallance actually had to say about this quickly, and the Telegraph's bullshit article that's pumping it out. It headlines Sir Patrick Vallance backs calls for a very powerful science minister in cabinet. Yeah, and of course he does, considering the amount of control that these people have had over our lives. Once power's taken, they certainly don't like to give it back, as everyone knows. It says the government's chief scientific advisor, in an interview with BBC Radio 4, said science needs to shape policy, especially as world leaders gear up to tackle climate change. Oh, so that's what he's moving on to next. He said that integrating science and politics has got to be the primary aim, and added science needs to be everywhere. It can't sit as if one thing off to the side. I've got nothing against the idea of a very powerful science minister. What could be wrong with that? And cabinet positions that speak for science. Yes, but that would only work if you actually had some real independent scientists elected into Parliament. These people need to know what they're talking about. They can't just be taking advice from yous lot, as Boris Johnson and his piss-poor government have been doing over the past year. Having a powerful science minister ain't gonna change shit if that's all you're doing. And then obviously you've got to remember the multiple other things that this would cause that is obviously dangerous for the public. Science and politics should be kept apart, as should everything bloody else. At the end of the day, politics should stay with politics, science with science, sports with sports and things like that. There is absolutely no reason to be mixing the two, unless of course you're going for some authoritarian lunacy like what we have seen. I mean, as I sit here, I can't actually think of any other reason why these tosspots would be calling for this, and the fact that Jeremy Hunt was involved in the report that this is all about makes me think that even more. As some of you might know, that guy is a complete lockdown zealot who absolutely loves them and wanted the government to go harder and faster like he was part of Labour. In fact, at this point, we all know they're two cheeks of the same arsehole covered in the same amount of shit. This whole bag of bullshit here from Sir Patrick Vallance, though, is not only dangerous as well as it is stupid. It shouldn't even be allowed to be said, and the Telegraph should be calling out the fact that these tosspots have been wrong and wrong again. In fact, I know I've said it a bunch of times, how many of you can actually think of anything that they've got right? Because I still can't, and I've probably been recording this for I don't even know how long at this point. Either way though, like I said at the beginning, it just shows how tone deaf these tosspots at the top really are. He has no idea what he's on about or what the public wants. Take a look at any social media post about these tosspots or about anything that's gone on in the last 18 months and you will see people are dead set against almost everything that these people are saying. It's a bit like back in the times of Brexit with the media back then, but only now it's involving literally everyone and is far more serious if you ask me. At this point we can only hope that one day these people get the justice they deserve, but I don't think they will. The powers that be will never allow that, let's be honest.